There are people who live their entire lives chasing something invisible. They don't quite know what it is, just that they haven't reached it yet. It's not wealth or fame or beauty or love exactly, but something that sits beneath all of those things. A sense of being enough. A quiet belief that who they are, in this moment, without improvement, is sufficient to deserve peace. But for some, that feeling never arrives. They wake up every morning and wear their lives like borrowed clothes, a little too big, a little uncomfortable, a little not theirs. When they look in the mirror, they don't see a person, they see a project, a collection of flaws waiting to be fixed, a draft in progress, a version not yet ready for the world. To others, they may seem successful, composed, even admirable. They may smile, they may joke, they may work hard, but behind that effort lies an ache. The kind that doesn't scream, it hums quietly. It says, "You're almost there. Just a bit more. Just be better. Then you'll be worthy." But better never comes. The psychology of people who always feel not enough is not about failure, but about distortion. A mirror warped by old memories, unspoken comparisons, and silent expectations. Somewhere along the way, their sense of self-worth became conditional. They learned, sometimes through pain, sometimes through silence, that love and acceptance had to be earned. Maybe it began in childhood, in the subtle ways affection was withheld, when praise came only with achievement, when quietness was mistaken for obedience, when mistakes led to cold distance instead of understanding. The child learned that to be loved, they must be impressive, that approval is currency and worth is something to be negotiated. Or maybe it began later, through heartbreak, humiliation, or the slow erosion of confidence that happens when the world seems to reward everyone else. They watched others shine, succeed, connect effortlessly while they stumbled, questioned, doubted. Over time, the question, "Am I good enough?" transformed into a belief, "I am not." And once that belief takes root, it grows quietly, feeding on every disappointment, every rejection, every small failure. It becomes the lens through which everything is seen. Compliments are dismissed, achievements feel hollow, relationships feel temporary, happiness feels undeserved. It's a cruel loop. The harder they try to prove their worth, the more that worth seems to slip away, because the act of proving implies doubt. You don't prove what you already believe. They become masters of overcompensation, always trying harder, giving more, doing better, saying yes even when they're breaking inside. They overthink, overgive, over-apologize. They measure themselves against impossible standards and call that motivation. But it's not motivation, it's fear. Fear of being seen as ordinary, fear of being left behind, fear of being unlovable without their achievements to justify their presence. And yet, no matter how much they accomplish, the finish line moves further away. The praise feels fleeting. The moment of pride fades too quickly. There's always another flaw to fix, another mountain to climb, another way to be more. And the tragedy is that they are often the kindest people, empathetic, sensitive, and attuned to the emotions of others. They know what it feels like to ache for approval, so they give others what they wish they had. They become good listeners, reliable friends, emotional healers. But they rarely extend that same compassion to themselves, because deep down, they don't believe they deserve it. If you ask them what would finally make them feel enough, they'll hesitate. Maybe they'll mention something concrete, success, love, recognition. But if you listen closely, there's a tremor in their voice, because they know it's not about those things. It never was. What they really crave is rest. The kind of rest that doesn't come from sleep, but from finally feeling safe inside their own skin. They want to stop editing themselves mid-sentence, stop scanning every interaction for signs of disapproval, stop holding their breath, waiting for someone to validate their existence. They want to believe, not intellectually, but viscerally, that they have always been enough. But the mind doesn't unlearn easily. People who always feel not enough live under a quiet tyranny of comparison. Not just with others, but with their imagined ideal selves, the perfect versions of who they think they should be. Every mistake feels like proof of inadequacy. Every flaw becomes a confirmation of failure. Even in love, they struggle. When someone cares for them, they can't fully trust it. They wonder when the other person will see through them, when affection will fade once their imperfections are exposed. They brace themselves for abandonment, even when none is coming. And sometimes their fear becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because when you don't believe you're enough, you keep trying to earn love that's already given. And in doing so, you push it away. This is the silent exhaustion they live with, constantly auditioning for a life they already have. Psychologically, this pattern is often rooted in shame, not the loud kind, but the quiet, chronic kind that whispers, "You are wrong. You are defective." Unlike guilt, which says, "I did something bad," shame says, "I am bad." It becomes part of one's identity, woven into self-perception. So even small setbacks can reopen deep wounds. A forgotten text, a lukewarm response, a small criticism, all of it can spiral into self-doubt. To others, it looks like overreaction, but inside it's an echo of every time they felt unseen or unworthy. Their nervous system has learned to interpret neutral moments as threats. Their minds replay old scenes of rejection, trying to prepare for pain before it arrives. And when you live like that, constantly scanning for danger, constantly bracing, peace feels foreign. Even joy becomes suspicious. There's a strange guilt that comes with happiness for people who feel not enough. Because if they're happy, they fear they'll stop improving. And if they stop improving, maybe they'll lose the fragile approval they've built their identity around. So they sabotage their own peace, unconsciously pulling themselves back into dissatisfaction, the only emotional landscape that feels familiar. It's not self-hatred exactly, it's self-mistrust. They don't trust themselves to be worthy without conditions. And yet, within all this pain, there's something profoundly beautiful. Because the people who always feel not enough often possess a depth of empathy the world desperately needs. They see others in ways most can't. Their own suffering becomes a lens through which they understand the invisible struggles of those around them. They are the ones who notice when someone's voice trembles, who sense when a smile hides exhaustion, who know how to hold space for another person's fear without flinching. They give others the safety they never found. But the tragedy, and the hope, is that they could give that same safety to themselves if only they realized they were allowed to. Maybe that's where healing begins. Not in grand affirmations or forced positivity, but in the quiet decision to stop running, to sit with the ache instead of fixing it, to say, "I feel not enough right now, and that's okay. I don't need to become someone else to deserve rest." Healing doesn't mean waking up one day and never feeling inadequate again. It means learning to coexist with that voice without obeying it. It means noticing when the old narratives return and choosing not to let them define the present. Because the truth is, the feeling of not being enough often is inherited, a story passed down through generations, through cultures that equate worth with productivity, beauty, intelligence, control. To unlearn that story is an act of rebellion. It means daring to exist without justification. And that's terrifying for someone who has lived their whole life believing they must earn their place. But it's also the only path to freedom.
Sometimes, the feeling of not being enough doesn't scream. It just hums beneath everything. It lingers in the pauses between conversations, in the silence after laughter, in the quiet moments before sleep when the mask slips off. That's when the thoughts come back, one by one, whispering in familiar voices. You could have done more. You should have been better. You don't deserve peace yet. It's a strange thing to live as if life is an exam you're always failing. Even joy feels temporary, conditional, fragile. If something good happens, they wait for the catch. If someone loves them, they wait for it to fade. The mind that believes it is not enough cannot hold good things without bracing for loss. And the world doesn't help. We live in a culture that feeds on inadequacy, one that tells us constantly that we must optimize, improve, evolve. There's always a new skill to learn, a better body to build, a higher goal to reach. The message is clear. Who you are is never enough. You must earn your right to exist comfortably. You must compete for your worth. For those who already carry self-doubt like a second skin, this message is deadly. It confirms what they've always suspected, that they are behind, broken, incomplete. So they hustle, they work late, they seek validation in metrics, likes, grades, achievements, compliments. For a moment, when the approval comes, there's relief, but it never lasts. The praise dissolves, the silence returns, and the cycle repeats. Because external validation can never touch the wound that created the need for it. Deep down, they are not chasing success, they are chasing safety. Safety from rejection, from judgment, from the terrifying possibility that they might be unlovable as they are. And sometimes even when someone tells them, "You're enough," it doesn't land. It sounds nice, but it feels foreign, almost suspicious. Because if you've spent years building your identity around being not enough, the idea of being enough feels like a loss of identity. Who would you be without the striving, without the proving, without the endless chase? There's a comfort in pain when it's familiar. There's a strange sense of control in self-criticism. If you can point out your flaws first, no one else can hurt you with them. So they stay guarded, protected behind perfectionism, behind humor, behind silence. But deep beneath that armor, there's a longing so raw, it almost hurts to name it. It's not for attention, not for admiration, but for gentleness. For someone, even just themselves, to say, "You don't have to try so hard. You don't have to earn what's already yours." Yet those words rarely come. The mind of someone who always feels not enough is like a house filled with mirrors. Everywhere they look, they see distorted reflections. Every compliment becomes an exception. Every failure becomes proof. They can recall every criticism they've ever received, but they forget the moments they were loved quietly, consistently, without condition. It's not that they want to be miserable, it's that their nervous system has learned that vigilance equals safety. So they stay alert, scanning faces for disapproval, reading between the lines of texts, replaying conversations to find where they went wrong. And in doing so, they rarely notice how much beauty they bring into the world. Because people who always feel not enough often become the ones who make others feel seen. They listen deeply. They remember details. They comfort others with words they've never been able to believe about themselves. They are tender in ways that only those who have suffered can be. There's an irony in that. They can see the worth in everyone except themselves. Sometimes they find themselves drawn to people who mirror their own insecurity. Relationships become places where they try to prove their value, when they overextend, over-apologize, over-love. They confuse being needed with being wanted, because in their world, Love has always been something to earn. And when it doesn't work, when they give too much and are still left, it doesn't just break their heart, it confirms their fear. See, you weren't enough after all. But that's not truth. That's trauma speaking. In reality, they were never the problem. The problem is the invisible rule they've been living by, that worth must be proven, that love must be earned, that peace must be delayed until perfection. The world they inhabit internally is full of if-only statements. If only I were smarter, I'd be loved. If only I were prettier, I'd be confident. If only I achieved more, I'd finally be proud. If only I fixed myself, I'd finally be enough. But the truth is, there is no finish line. There is no version of themselves that will finally unlock the feeling they crave. Because the feeling doesn't come from achievement, it comes from permission. Permission to exist as they are. And that's what makes healing so complicated. It's not about gaining something new, but about letting go of the illusion that something was missing. Letting go sounds easy. It isn't. It's an act of mourning, grieving the years spent chasing a moving target, grieving the childhood that never felt safe enough to rest, grieving the love that was conditional, the silence that taught them they had to earn their place. Healing for people who always feel not enough is not about fixing the self, it's about meeting the self. Meeting the frightened, striving part that has been running for years and saying, "You can stop now. You've done enough. You've always been enough." But even that takes time. The old voices don't disappear, they soften. They still whisper on hard days, but their authority weakens. Slowly, they learn to question the script. They start to notice when they are performing instead of living, when they are apologizing for existing, when they are shrinking to fit expectations that were never theirs. And little by little, something changes. They begin to see that worth was never something to earn, it was something they were born with. They begin to understand that the love they seek isn't out there, it's the love they've been withholding from themselves. Sometimes it hits them in quiet moments, sitting by a window, hearing a song, watching sunlight spill across a floor. For a second, they forget to perform. They forget to be perfect. And in that pause, they feel it. Peace. Not joy, not excitement, just peace. The soft, unfamiliar warmth of being okay. And then the moment passes, and the old mind rushes back in, but the memory stays. The proof that it's possible stays. That's how healing begins. Not as an explosion, but as a whisper.